we're reading the Quran for the first time and learning about Islam for the first time. Something I did not know about Islam is how accepting it is of the other Abrahamic faiths and traditions. It says, and I quote, "Surely those who profess to believe in Islam and those who follow the Jewish faith, the Christians and the Sabians, whosoever of these truly believes in Allah and the last day and acts righteously, shall have their reward with the Lord and shall have nothing to fear, nor shall they grieve." Chapter 2, verse 62. I don't know how... I'm going to say chapter and verse until I know what I'm actually supposed to call them. I'm so sorry. I knew that the Islamic belief, believed in Jesus or, still, accepted Jesus as a prophet. I knew that it was not demeaning towards Christians and Judaism, but I didn't know that it was accepting of Christianity and Judaism. You know how, I was raised in a Lutheran school, right? I went to a Lutheran school ages grade 6 through 8. And in that, we had religion class. In this religion class, we were taught very specifically about how even other denominations of Christianity weren't true Christians and were gonna go to hell because they didn't believe a certain set of rules as it pertained to God. It was, they were like, even Catholics aren't true Christians. I was like, are you on drugs? What are you talking about? There's so much drama in the Christian faith that there's even infighting amongst the denominations. And you're like, can you just get your shit together? What are you talking about? So I knew that Islam accepted Jesus. I knew that Islam was based on the same Abrahamic traditions and core, but I just didn't know that it was fine with Christians and Judaism. I think because I was raised in that sphere of so much Christian infighting, I think I just assumed that Islam would be the same way. The same with when I was picking up my Quran in the first place and I was in the store. I was like, why is there only one version of the Quran? Which I knew that there was only one translation, but I assumed that there would be additional kinds of study Qurans. There are walls of different Bibles you can have, right? Tons of different Bibles and interpretations that you can have. But the Quran is nah, it's just me. It's just me out here, thanks. So I'm excited to keep learning. Excited to keep it going.
I've been reading the Quran as a non-Muslim, and I would like to share some things with people who may not know anything about Islam. Full disclosure, I do not know a lot about Muslims or the Islamic religion, but I thought it was a good time to share about it. I think a lot of people live in ignorance and do not know anything about Islam. I definitely did not know anything about them before this summer. Then I ended up going to Malaysia and learning a lot about Islam. I went to a mosque and learned a lot, and I picked up a Quran there and I started reading it because I said, hey, I don't know anything about this religion, let me learn. It's been 5 months since then, so I wanted to share a bit about what I've learned, a lot of similarities between Islam and Christian religions. I wanted to share, like I said, this is going to be the most basic knowledge that I have, but because it's so easy to just know about something but not know anything from it. For example, before I learned anything about Islam, I just knew that they were the people who wore hijabs, and I was like, that's cool, I guess. Also, the Quran is supposed to be in Arabic. It's not supposed to be it's translated in English, but that doesn't mean it's the proper translation. So like I said, if any of this is incorrect, or I'm saying it wrong, correct me. This is not perfect information, okay guys, this is basic stuff. One of the main things I want to talk about here is how a lot of people, especially since 9/11, believe that Islam is violent. So let's talk about this. Fun fact, I feel like every other page in the Quran mentions how they are peace-loving people, how they're here to not cause trouble, they're here to believe in God and spread peace, not fighting. The one Islamic group that had the attack on 9/11 was a fraction of less than 1% of the Islamic religion. Most other people are going to believe in peace, in loving other people, and doing their best to spread Allah's goodwill, not attacking people. Another thing that I think it totally sucks, but a lot of people have the misconception of how women are treated in the Islamic religion. A lot of people think that women do not have rights, or that they're forced to wear hijabs and things like that. So let's talk about that. I actually talked pretty in depth with one of the people at a mosque about this because I was really curious, since it is really commonly believed that women are like oppressed in this religion. But essentially, it is a woman's choice in devotion to God. It is how she shows that devotion. They are not forced to wear hijabs. It is their choice, no one else's choice. A lot of people believe that like men have like the dominance over women, and I think that is actually incorrect. So reading in the Quran, yes, there are passages where it's like, oh yeah, like men and women's jobs in like household and such like that. But it is very clearly stated how men are supposed to respect their wives. Wives do have the ability to divorce their husbands if they're treating them wrong. Like they have that ability. They have advocates. Like there's advocates for them, and they are not like forced into this. Like their relationships are supposed to be loving. Unlike a lot of people think like, oh, it's arranged, or oh, it's like it's abusive. No, it is like written in the Quran that their husbands are to be respectful, and if the woman is unhappy, like he has to work to make her happy. It is stated in the Quran that women have their own financial like money, like essentially they have their own bank accounts. Like a lot of people are like, oh, a woman in Islam is like fully reliant on a man. No, in there it is literally written that the men have to let like the women have their own financial stability, so that if she needs to like get out of a dangerous situation, she can do that because she has her own money and her own autonomy. Anyways, I just wanted to share a couple of these things, just because there's a lot of misconceptions out there, or people just don't take time to learn things. Like, I get that. I'm not going to be like judging people for like, oh, how dare you don't learn anything about that. But I think we often forget that these differences we create between us can be easily solved. We are not so different from other cultures, other religions, other races, and I think it sucks that sometimes we just don't take any time to learn about that. If you're ever thinking you are so different from someone, maybe take like 10 seconds to do a quick search up about them. Pick up their book. You might learn something, or you might realize just how in common you are with them. Personally, myself, I'm from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and learning about Islam, we actually have so much in common with them, like my religion and theirs, and I think that is so cool, and a lot of people like just would not realize how much we have in common. So maybe go learn more about Islam. They're pretty cool.
I'm a Christian, and I just got finished reading the Quran. And after reading every single surah, I walked away with 3 life-changing lessons that every single Christian needs to hear. First, the theological gap is massive. People will say it's the same God, just different books. But that's absolutely not true. You see, the Quran presents a God of absolute oneness who saves through submission and good works. But the Bible presents one God of triune relationship who saves through sacrifice and grace. And when you read them side by side, you realize that you can't harmonize them. You see, one says do, and the other says done. One points to a scale, and the other points to the cross. They're mutually exclusive. Second, and this is a hard truth, but Christians in large are failing at apologetics. In the comment section of this series, I've noticed a pattern. Sure, on both sides you have your top 5%, your academic minds who are brilliant, and you have your bottom 10% who are just toxic. But in the middle, the average Muslim knows more about their theology and why they believe what they believe than the average Christian does theirs. I've seen too many Christians resort to what I call nuh-uh arguments. Some even to insults because they couldn't explain why they believe what they believe. You see, we can't just rest on tradition. If you don't know why the Trinity is real or why the Bible is reliable, then you aren't ready for the conversation. Don't mishear me. What I'm not saying is that you're not ready to share your faith. What I'm simply saying is if you don't know why you believe what you believe as a Christian, then you aren't ready to engage in apologetics and theological discussion. And third, and most importantly, and this is going to be controversial, but Muslims are not our enemy. It's true that in the West, we have let stereotypes and radical extremist groups paint a radical picture of what it means to be a Muslim, some of which is justified. But no, the majority of Muslims are not terrorists. They're people genuinely seeking to please their God through the only framework they've ever known. Think of how you feel when someone attacks your faith and your beliefs, or when somebody tries to change your mind about salvation coming from Jesus' finished work on the cross. Our battle is not against flesh and blood. We can ruthlessly dismantle the ideology of Islam and other religions while still loving the people of Islam. Because if we lose our love, then we lose our witness. And no, I'm not saying to sacrifice truth for love or love for truth. I'm saying we should always be speaking the truth in love and calling people to repentance.
Muslims are not your enemy. Islam has never been your enemy.